Well, here we... What the heck? Sorry, I've been doing some Christmas decorating. Today I'm looking at a knife. Oh, amazingly enough, by probably the video description and everything. This is a Yon Xanadu, or YX design, as they are also known. This is my first time purchasing a knife off of AliExpress, but that's where I saw that it was available from. It came in here, and this was, obviously the box. I have it sitting over here on the side. But yeah, it was a fairly attractive box. I do like that quite a bit. So yeah, this is the guy in question, and what a big guy we got. This guy is the YX 751. Yeah, that's it. Let's actually grab me some stuff. There we go. Alright, so we got, about 3 3/4 inch blade, maybe slightly over. So this is a big boy. It's got 14C 28-inch steel. Yeah, YX-751. Okay, cool. You can see that's the detent ball there, or the detent receptacle. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. This is a liner lock knife. It's got black micarta, and I actually do like the texturing and everything on this quite a bit. That's something that I have found to be lacking from some companies. In their micarta, using fairly wide mesh or whatever, but this has a decent weave to it. It's super nice. I do like it quite a bit. We got a G10 backspacer that runs almost the full length of it. And then we got a pretty simple pocket clip. It's not deep carry. And it won't hold anything incredibly thick. But that being said, it pretty much stays out of the way and lets you use the knife for the knife. So, love that. I'm also not a big proponent of everything has to be deep carry, because, well, things were just fine when deep carry wasn't the norm, and somehow we all made it through. So, so yeah, something interesting here is they actually do have the notches cut here for. But if you stay still, there we go. Yeah, we got the notches cut in there for the finger landing pad, which is nice. This guy is quite thick as far as well, how tall it is, I suppose. And yeah, it goes to about an inch or so at some of the thicker points here. So, gigantic knife. Probably great for somebody with larger hands like myself. And even possibly larger hands like myself with some gloves on. Like, this is a beast. I do like the what's the word? The stonewash that they got kind of going on the flats there. I do like stonewash all the way around, but I do realize that they had to do that process a little bit differently than doing a satin like this. But that's perfectly okay. But yeah, super beefy guy. Pretty interesting design. Just as far as everything's gone, because what I'm used to so far with my familiarity with YX designs have been a little bit smaller. These are obviously TwoSuns, but they're from that same designer, YX design. This one's an S90V. This one's an M390. Yeah, whatever. They're double detent models. This is, full locking sort of thing. So yeah, I can take a look on the inside because it is a little interesting. We have T6 construction except for the pivot, which is T8. Alrighty. Get the pocket clip off there. At least it's recessed. That's nice. Would have kind of liked to see it available on both sides, but oh well. Doesn't affect me personally, but I do like to include lefties in, you know, our little fun parade of cutlery. We do have essentially barrel spacers that screw in on both sides. So these screws will actually come out as well and leave the barrels separate. But yeah, there's the liner side, and you know, nice nested liner. I really like that. And then we can pull that off, and we see, first off, ceramic detent for the liner. However, we got steel rather than ceramic for the bearing cage. But what I think is pretty interesting is the quote-unquote liner on the other side. That's like an elongated washer. That really does, it gives a bit of structural stability there with, you know, they didn't have to put two full steel liner sort of things in there, but this side is thicker to kind of make up for that, and that works out perfectly fine. Yeah. We got that blue G10. I don't believe there was any other colorways available, but you know, this super nice as it is. You can see the micarta doesn't really have a whole bunch of you know, ragged edges on the inside or out. Obviously, it will have a little bit for the liner cutout, as pretty much all of them kind of will. But yeah. Oops. Now he does have a D-shaped pivot, and it does do the full collar for it. So it's not just one little area there at the end, but only one side is keyed, that being the liner lock side. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you're taking this apart or putting it back together. There's the blade stump. Toss the blade back up in there. I'll talk a little bit more about the blade here once I get this guy all back together and snug. That does require that the pivot is facing kind of the way that I want it to face. There we go. Come on now, boy. Well, now we're just going to go ahead and struggle just a little tiny bit. And that's fine, you know. Everything worth doing is worth dealing with something putting up a fight. Alright, the last time I had this apart, it was really not super difficult at all to put them back together. But this time, I just seem to have myself a little bit of difficulty getting that keyed pivot in the right place. There we go. And then obviously this is sandwiched in there, so yeah. Alright, well, I got the pivot on there. Well, these are T6, not T8. What am I doing? I would say that, T6, I don't really super love that way, but heck, even with the TwoSuns, they've actually used T6s for almost everything on their knives. So they are a little bit of an exception. But, yeah. This guy, because he's got a large blade, if I actually get it correctly tightened instead of just choking the guy out, then, yeah, super drop shutty. And, of course, that's going to be self-evident with a almost 4-inch knife there. I'll put the pocket clip back on later. You guys don't really need to be tortured with that. But, yeah, I mean, the flipper tab's nice. Obviously, it does stick out. Hey, that's what flipper tabs do almost always. But very effective. Something I have noticed with mine in particular, I'm not sure if you can, yeah, you can see that. It does have just a little tiny bit of wiggle in there. That's due to the detent receptacle being slightly larger than the detent ball, but it's not unstable at all. This is just something I've noticed from just playing around with the guy. And yeah, you can technically fail this guy if you really try to be soft and ginger with it, but hey, it deploys perfectly fine when you're out there doing it normally. So, this blade shape, it's a little more Tonto-esque than I was kind of aware of. I thought this was just going to be kind of a standard drop point, which, I mean, yeah, you look at it, and sure, it mostly is, but that is a secondary grind that we got going on there, where it actually comes to a point, and they've started a separate angle for that grind. The tip might not be the absolute sharpest thing out of the box, but, well, it certainly does look like an even sharpening. So, yeah, they didn't do anything super sloppy, which is great. I do like this knife quite a bit, and for the price for it, it's actually quite nice. I paid somewhere around, I think, $35 for this guy. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, I got this through AliExpress, which means that it's not the most easiest thing for someone to get a hold of. So for someone who doesn't really know all that much about knives, and or someone who's not interested in looking through some of the stranger Chinese sites out there, like AliExpress or heaven forbid Wish, I couldn't imagine trying to search for anything legitimate there, but that's where they sold them, and so that's where I picked them up from. You know, it's a bit like trying to win some of those TwoSun auctions where, hey, you paid for it, and then you wait 4 to 6 weeks for it to come in. So this was kind of a long time coming. But I did hear that, YX was making some other knives, and the other two that I was familiar with were these little guys from TwoSun. So it was interesting to see a much, much larger knife come from them. And I don't honestly know exactly who the manufacturer for these are. I don't think that they have their own manufacturing facility. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell any of their designs to TwoSun. So in that way, I don't know. They could have possibly. Well, I would say they could have possibly contracted out TwoSun because they do manufacturing for other companies. But I haven't seen any Micarta like this from TwoSun. Most of theirs is the brown. Brown, fairly ragged stuff that doesn't have a super tight weave. Geez, now that I have another one. This one's technically Micarta from TwoSun, and it is much different, but it's kind of a special deal there. That's not something that's found its way onto a whole bunch of other knives. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe Best Tech. I mean it certainly does have quality construction and nice drop shutty action. Once you've cleaned them out and everything. It wasn't super dirty inside, but it did have a little bit of a dunk in mineral oil before it was packaged up. So there you go. Once I opened them up and then cleaned them out a little bit, and then put my own KPO in there, then yeah, this guy is super sweet, super large. I mean, if you want a knife for really large hands where you really want to get that gorilla grip going on, this one will do it for you for sure. And I do believe, well, the channel that actually kind of alerted me that this thing was available was Love Them Knives, and he did the steel test on it, and yes, it is 14C28. So that's great. I don't know necessarily how it performs because it's fairly new and it hasn't made it into my rotation of cutting yet. But yeah, I am interested to see how well this thing does with cutting those ropes and everything. But yeah, this is a pretty nice surprise that came in, a little bit before Christmas. I probably have a lot of other stuff that might or might not make it here by Christmas. Who knows? Because of the shipping gets a little haywire during the holidays, and well, I'm not really out driving around because well, the Rona's about. So there you go. That's kind of my thoughts and kind of the inside and out of the YX-751 from Yon Xanadu. I believe it is Xanadu because they're Chinese and they usually pronounce X's like that. Apparently not all the time, but a lot of the time. So that's my best guess. Let's see. Well, I got the length on the guy here, but if I get a little bit of weight for you, how about if I get that also centered in frame or something like that? That might help a little bit. Let's start with the ounces. And I'll toss the clip on there too. Alright, so we got like a little over 4.9 ounces. That's, yeah, pretty close to 139.5 grams. So certainly not a lightweight, but it could be a heck of a lot heavier if they decided to have liners on both sides instead of the liner washer or key, what have you there. And I guess the other thing that I would probably be curious about, depending on if I can... here they are. Calipers were way far away. I usually do like to check blade stock thickness. And yeah, there you go, for inches, which aren't exactly my favorite for that. But yeah, this guy is basically 4 millimeters. So not incredibly thin blade stock. But because the blade is nice and tall, and you get kind of a saber grind kind of thing going on there. It still does come down to a very nice fine edge down here. So you don't really have any of that axe kind of quality of knives like some of the super old TwoSuns like the TS16 or how the Benchmade 940. I also kind of give it crap for having that kind of an edge on there. This is nice and slicey. So hooray! Yeah, I do like the knife. For mid-30s, I certainly do recommend it. But yeah, having it be on just basically AliExpress kind of limits its market in the West for sure. Because a lot of us don't really go on there and over purchase anything. This was basically my first purchase from AliExpress. And then right after this, Black Friday happened, so I decided to purchase one of the TwoSuns from their official shop because they were doing a Black Friday deal for one of their crazier. I think it was man, I don't remember the exact number. It's brown burlap micarta, or they call it Atlanta micarta, but I think it's more burlap. Um, but then I think it's a Tepe design. 220 something, 223, 227. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but it'll be here in a few weeks. So that'll be kind of neat to take a look at since I've gotten everything else from them off of eBay. But yeah, all right. Well, that's basically all my thoughts on this big son of a gun here, and I'm happy to have it. It's a nice piece. So, well, as always, I'm Jerry. This cartoon right here is Totoro, if you're not aware of Studio Ghibli. And I hope you have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.